Seiko-tastic watch collection with a lot of rare and interesting Seiko pieces combined together with some Swiss-made watches. Today we're going to check out Jam's watch collection. Let's go! Hi, hello and welcome my friends, as mentioned before, to Jam's watch collection review. A big shout out of course to Jam. Thanks my friend for sending in these great videos and also the presentation with a lot of background information about your watches. Guys, check out his Instagram. He's known there as Seiko Maniac, and I think the name itself lets you already know what to expect in today's video. And guys, if you would like to find out how you can have a watch collection review on my channel, watch the video to the end. There I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail how this is going to work. And as well, I'm going to leave timestamps in the video description so that you can navigate better from watch to watch in this video. I hope this helps. But without further ado, let's check out Jam's watch collection. Alright my friends, don't be mad with me when I have to check a couple of more times my iPad, because Jam did incredible work there. He actually sent a presentation about all his pieces. I would like to start not with Japanese but with one Chinese watch, which I'm very familiar with, which is the SEAGULL chronograph, and I did own also the 1963 Chrono. Anyways, Jam does own a Plan B variation, which is a limited edition, limited to 650 pieces. The finish of the dial with a sunburst dial effect, the applied hands and indices and markers are really well done. And it's an upgrade in comparison with the original or with a regular 38mm chronograph with plexiglass or hazard glass. This is really an interesting variation. The limitation is of course also interesting, and it was presented from SEAGULL due to their 65th anniversary, and from my point of view a very interesting piece. So I'm a big fan of the SEAGULL Chrono. You'll get a column wheel chronograph movement, which is one of a kind for that price point. And I think especially in 38mm, 13mm of heights, it's for a chronograph, a manual windable column wheel chronograph, a very flat piece. So a beautiful watch to start with from my point of view, and I think a very interesting piece overall. Jam did describe himself as a space travel nerd, sort of, so this is also the reason why you will find in his collection a Speedy and also a Bulova. The watch I would like to talk about right now is a WERENBACH, and WERENBACH is a very interesting brand from my point of view. Here we do talk about the Leonov Model 2, and the interesting detail of this watch on the one hand is its dial, which is made of a booster, or the material of the booster of the Soyuz rocket. And considering the history, I think this is really a cool detail to have. I'm at the moment as well a big fan of wide dial watches. I'm hunting or searching also right now for a wide dial watch for my watch collection. And I do like the contrast here. You've got the wide dial made of the booster of the Soyuz rocket. Then you've got black indices, black hands and second hand. And this inner bezel does show the launch sequencer, which shows the 3 steps of the Soyuz after its start. The case bag is made of a very high strength steel. The glass which is used is of course sapphire crystal, and this is wide dial. Wide dials do appear a little bit bigger. I don't have any problem also with the 40mm of diameter and the height of 12.4mm. I think it's a very interesting addition to the collection with very interesting materials. Okay, enough talk about WERENBACH and SEAGULL. Let's check out one of his first Seiko watches, and we're going to start with his Seiko 5 Sport model, which is from 1983. Inside ticks the 7009 movement, which is a predecessor of the very well-known 7S26. So also there, it's not manual windable, you don't have hacking seconds, but it's a very rough, tough watch. 37 millimeters of diameter, 10.5 millimeters of height, and I just love that dial. And I hope that someday it's possible to travel again. I still would like to visit together with my wife Dubai, and I hope I can find during this trip then also a Seiko 5 with an Arabic dial, because I don't know, I just do like the style. To be honest, this is one of my favorites of his collection. It's not the most expensive one, but I don't know, I do like these older Seiko 5 watches. They are not the best quality-wise, but they are really interesting and very beautiful watches from my point of view. And yeah, I like this one quite a lot. Alright, my friends, let's talk about one of the highlights, or my highlights in this watch collection. Yes, the Seiko 5 as well as one, but this one really is a rare piece, very hard to find, and a very interesting watch as well. It's from 1978, so it's pre-Grand Seiko. This was before Grand Seiko did exist, and does sport a Grand Quartz movement. So what is a Grand Quartz movement? Well, it is a twin quartz movement, so you do have two quartz crystals which do regulate themselves, and as well they do consider the different temperatures, and due to this you can achieve an accuracy of plus minus 10 seconds a year. Well, the regular current Grand Seiko 9F quartz movement does achieve the same. Just the high-end quartz Grand Seiko movements you can purchase right now achieve an accuracy of plus minus 5 seconds a year. But still, this watch is from 1978. So this is incredible. I as well do like a lot the design. You have this sort of also frosted dial. The hands themselves do sport a different finish, so that you are able to read the watch easier in each position and can read them very accurate. I love the date complication, because you have here also the kanji date complication, so which means that you have the day in Japanese letters. I'm a big fan of this. This is why I did purchase my Seiko Turtle in Japan during my honeymoon, because I don't know, when you read the watch, when you have especially, it's a great white, the blue, the sunburst blue dial with a blue day on Saturday. I don't know, it's just a beautiful detail from my point of view. And it's really hard to get this piece, so really big fan of this Seiko Grand Quartz, especially of the design, of the shape. It reminds me a little bit of an Rolex Oyster Quartz. Integrated bracelet, you do have definitely this Genta-esque touch, and it's a stunner. In terms of the size, 35 millimeter of diameter. Do sound small, but with the integrated bracelet and the bigger dial, I think it's very valuable. It's also a nice alternative for example, a Rolex Datejust from my point of view, because you have this really unique features. It's a very traditional design, a very interesting movement inside, and again, these pieces, these watches are really hard to find nowadays. From Seiko Grand Quartz to BULOVA. As mentioned before, Jem is a really space exploring nerd, space explorer fan, and of course due to this he needed to have also a BULOVA ACCUTRON with a very famous tuning fork movements inside. We do talk here about the BULOVA ACCUTRON, the regular ACCUTRON. He originally wanted to purchase the Astronaut, so the BULOVA ACCUTRON Astronaut, but these watches are really rare and really hard to find. I think the regular BULOVA ACCUTRON, especially this one with a 2181 movement inside, are hard to find, and this watch is from 1969. What's interesting is that you have with this tuning fork movements on the one hand a second, which, well, it in reality does jump, but it is with 400 Hertz. So with this frequency, it looks like it's running, for example, like a spring drive movement, so it's electric, but it does run, or ticks, but with a very high frequency, so it looks like the second hand is running, like you have with an automatic watch. This high frequency movement as well works as a shock compensation, because due to the high beat it's more shock resistance, which is interesting. Again, this watch is from 1969, so there was already a lot of technology, something I do miss sometimes nowadays. Diameter of the piece is 35 millimeters. We talk about a height of 10.5 millimeters. Yes, again, it does sound small, but consider the design of the cases from the 70s, from the 60s. It's more angular, so you have a lot of more wrist presence. The dial itself is far bigger, and I think you can wear it with regular wrists without any problem. I like the combination with a leather strap. So from my point of view, really interesting piece as well, and of course a really interesting movement inside. Let's stay in space, shall we, and talk about Jem's Omega Speedmaster Professional, and as he is a space travel fan, of course a version with a hazardite crystal. This watch, or this version, is really interesting because you have also sort of a new old stock feeling. It has some vintage vibes with the hazardite crystal, but don't feel old-fashioned. It's a very classical chronograph, a racing chronograph, a moon watch. And I do own myself the Sapphire Century version of the Speedy. I just like how the movement is decorated. I like to see the manual windable movement. Well, I expect Omega one day to discontinue these versions and come out with a 2861, 2863 version, so a calm wheel manual winded chronograph, serial produced one, not the high-end version, but I think a more regular version. So this watch can become also very soon, I think, a little bit more rare, and it's a piece who tells stories, or tells the best stories, as Jem puts it, and I think it's a beautiful addition to the collection. You need a chrono in your watch collection, don't you? Let's get dressy. Let's talk about his Seiko Cocktail Time, his Seiko Presage, of course, named as a Mockingbird with the SRPD 37J1. So we do talk, of course, of the JDM version, the Japanese domestic market variation of the Presage. If Seiko can do something really great, that's dials. As well, here sunburst green structured dial. I do love the hands, and even though I'm not a very big dress watch fan, I really can enjoy these pieces. Diameter is decent, not too small, not too big. Very balanced piece, very elegant piece, and a beautiful dress watch to have in your collection. The second Seiko 5 Sport in Jem's watch collection is a beauty. Right now not available in Germany. We talk about the 40mm Seiko 5 Sport models recently introduced. I think it was this year. And what I do like is that it sports golden hands and indices. And especially when you see the reflections in the light, it adds a nice touch to the design. I was not a big fan of the original Seiko 5 Sports, as they are, from my point of view, sort of a successor of the SKX. From a successor of an SKX, I do expect 200 meters of water resistance in the screw-down crown. This is what you didn't get with these 5KX models. From the 40mm Seiko 5 Sport models, I don't expect such a thing, because they are more like an Explorer alternative. I'm talking about also the two-door Black Bay 41 or 36mm variation. Decent diameter, nice wrist present, and it's just a pretty cool daily beater. From Japan to Germany, let's talk about another really beautiful piece, the Glashütte Spezimatic, which is an NOS version from 1969, new old stock. Guys, do you know how difficult it is to find these pieces, new old stock? Inside ticks the caliber 75 with 26 stones. It's an automatic movement, manual windable, date complication, 36mm of diameter, 11mm of height. It's not a gold one, it's gold coated. Anyways, it's a beauty. With gold hands, gold indices, perfect combination with a black dial, and you can tell from the overall collection we've seen so far, Jem's sweet spot is between 35 and 40mm, and I think he prefers more dressy up pieces. To me, definitely one of the highlights made in Germany, dress watch, very reduced minimalistic design, Bauhaus sort of style with full addition to his collection. A very special piece for sure. Finally, a sports watch, another sports watch. It's not the only one, the Speedy counts as well, but let's talk divers. Seiko Summery. I do like the case design, I do like the Summery itself. It's the current model, the current version. Beefy, big 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, throw it on and don't worry about it. This is why I like my turtles that much, because yeah, it's a holiday piece. You can go into the garden, don't know, dirty work, whatever it's needed. You will have not to worry about this piece. Pretty cool one, I like it. Thumbs up for the Summery. Let's discuss a hype watch in its collection. And no, it's not a Rolex. We talk about the Seiko AGS 5M22 8A20. And this is the first hybrid watch ever produced. This is from the 1970s. The system is called Automatic Generating System. Later on, and this is a name you might know, it's called kinetic movement. So how does it work? Well, you do have a rotor who does produce the energy, and you do have a condensator which can save the energy or the electricity for about 4 months. So talking about the 70s, incredible technology here. As well, the design is from the 70s from Gero Genta. Right now, Gem is in contact with Seiko and they try to figure out whether this is really designed by Gero Genta. But talking about the design, this one doesn't remind me of an Oyster Quartz, but a little bit more of an IWC Engineer. So it could be the design itself, very clear, a very nice case shape, integrated bracelet. Bracelet has a little bit of a jubilee style to it. From my point of view, what shall I say about this watch? Awesome technology. It's very hyped on Instagram at the moment. And yeah, what shall I say, German? Just 2 thumbs up for this particular Seiko. Alright guys, this concludes today's watch collection review, and what a collection it is. And please be so kind, share with Gem and me your opinion in the comment section below. What was your favorite piece and how did you like this collection so far? It is sort of a tradition on this channel when I make this watch collection reviews to also recommend or try to recommend additional pieces or how to continue with this collection, and this is what I would like to do right now too. We do have, of course, a nice variation. You've got the Japanese watches, watches made in Germany, Swiss-made pieces, and of course also a very nice history or collection of quartz pieces. Hybrid watches, high accurate quartz watches, from the 70s, very interesting designs. Taking, of course, his Seiko passion into consideration, the one watch I would like to recommend in this area would be the Seiko Poke with the champagne colored dial, the Pepsi bezel. This is a beauty piece, a very beautiful watch from my point of view, and I think this could add nicely to the collection. You've got a champagne colored dial which matches also the other versions, and I don't know, I just like the Poke and I could see this particular watch also in Gem's collection. And on the other hand, a little bit more modern piece, which is the IWC Engineer. Not the current one, I do have sort of a beef with the current Engineer, but the Genta design one, or the one which is influenced by Genta. I'm talking here about the last Genta design version IWC did produce in 40 millimeters with an ETA movement inside. And here I do talk about the version with the white dial and the rose gold hands and indices. Yeah, it is not the vintage piece. I could see also a vintage version of the Engineer in Gem's collection, but I would like to go more for the modern interpretation. Still a decent size, 40 millimeters of diameter, integrated bracelet. I just think it would add also something to the collection. And Gem did like, or does like, his Seiko 5 Sports with the black dial and the gold hands and indices, and I think this would be a nice addition, taking into consideration that he likes the Genta-esque design. Referring to his vintage Seikos from the 60s and 70s with a modern touch, so to say. Yeah, this is my recommendation, my friends. As well, if you would like to recommend something to Gem, leave a comment as well on the comment section below. And yeah, that's it for today. Talked a lot, Sorry for the overtime, so to say. My friends, I wish all of you now a very happy weekend, a good start into the new week, and I do look forward to see you in the next one. I say goodbye and auf Wiedersehen. Euer Konstantin. Ciao, guys. I totally forgot to explain to you how you can have a watch review of your collection on my channel, but it's actually pretty easy. Send an email to b_mr_b@gmx.de. And then we're going to discuss the rest. It's very important that I just make collection reviews based on video material, so no photos, because I think it's far more interesting to see or to present your watches in the metal, and with videos you get normally better impressions of the watch. I would need 2 to 3 videos are 20 seconds where you can show your watch on your hand, on your wrist and on the table, and yeah, to see from each side how the watch looks like. Personal history about this piece, why did you choose it, as well as interesting. But yeah, the details we can discuss then via email. So if you're interested, I'm happy to read you in my mailbox.